Good afternoon. A bit more on energy, slightly wider perspective perhaps from this session. It's a pleasure to participate in the Cyprus Investment Summit, and many thanks to the organizers for the invitation. The energy landscape in the East Mediterranean is indeed a dynamic environment, as we've heard from the previous panelists, that is impacted by global events and is ever more proving to be a region that can also reciprocate by having an influence on the future of the EU and the globe's energy ambitions. The energy landscape in the Eastern Mediterranean has been predominantly centered on the natural gas industry, with a long history in Egypt, followed by Israel, and with Cyprus and its recent discoveries on the cusp, we hope, of being also a natural gas producer. The region is recognized as being of growing importance to the EU and the global markets, with large international oil companies and smaller exploration and production players having invested significantly in the region. Overall, the Eastern Mediterranean has abundant energy resources, and finding a way to develop those resources is driving strategic collaboration among countries and players in the region. To give some context on the materiality of regional resources, in 2011, the East Med region generated gas production of about 7.8 BCF per day. When compared to the EU's average daily consumption for 2021 of 38.4 BCF per day, this is around a fifth. According to independent analysis, the region, as of 2021, had total discovered recoverable resources of 124 TCF. Again, when compared to the EU's annual consumption for the same year of 14 TCF, this is 10 times the size, so that gives you a scale of things. Furthermore, the region is still being actively explored, and there is considered to be significant upside exploration potential offshore Egypt, Cyprus, and Israel. The significance of the East Med natural gas resources for the EU can be demonstrated by the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the EU, Israel, and Egypt in June 2022 to support the delivery of regional gas exports to the EU. This was a key EU initiative to support its diversification from Russian-supplied gas following the invasion of Ukraine. The MOU was facilitated by the East Mediterranean Gas Forum, the EMGF, of which Cyprus is a founding member. The MGF, which is in addition to Cyprus, includes Egypt, Greece, Israel, Italy, Jordan, and Palestine, came into effect officially in 2020 with the signing of its statute. It has also grown its membership to include France, but also as observers it includes the EU, the USA, and the World Bank. The MGF member countries recognize that the full potential of the Eastern Mediterranean gas basin can only be unlocked if suppliers, buyers, and transit countries in the region cooperate on developing the infrastructure for gas trade within the region and with external markets, as we also heard from previous speakers. The MGF continues to develop its agenda, and this includes supporting global energy transition objectives, a product of this being a dedicated EMGF organized decarbonization day that was part of the COP27 program last year in Egypt. The long-term fundamentals of natural gas and LNG are robust, and this speaks to the role of natural gas in the energy transition as the least carbon emitting of the fossil fuels, and its role as an enabler of further penetration of renewable energy sources. Global energy demand is expected to continue increasing significantly over the next 2 decades, primarily driven by the developing Asian economies, and the East Med region is well placed to support that demand. The monetization of the region's natural gas resources, especially the new discoveries, does have its challenges, with newer discoveries being in deeper waters and requiring new infrastructure for the natural gas to reach the markets. There are a number of monetization options on the table for the next stages of development. These include the use of existing liquefaction facilities in Egypt, newly mature technologies such as FLNG, floating liquefied natural gas, the EU-supported East Med pipeline initiatives, and Cyprus is also looking to review again new liquefaction facilities either onshore or nearshore Cyprus. The motivation for Cyprus is twofold: attracting investors to explore LNG exports directly from Cyprus will in itself lead to Cypriot or regional gas being transported by pipeline to Cyprus, and thus provide the country's domestic market, a more affordable price for the gas. In addition, the evident technology maturation on liquefaction technology, such as floating or modular LNG applications, combined with an energy market that since the Russian invasion of Ukraine is showing better price support in the mid and long term, makes this proposition more attractive for investment than it may have been in previous years. Focusing on the energy transition and how this is being applied in the East Mediterranean region, there are lots of regional initiatives that are being progressed. I have mentioned the key role of natural gas in the energy transition, but even for natural gas, the focus is on ensuring that the production of it is as clean as possible by targeting Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, and we've heard some examples from the previous speakers. Initiatives for decarbonization are being applied to production facilities in the region, and there are also initiatives for investigating carbon capture and storage solutions. The depleted gas reservoirs in Egypt would be prime candidates, but even in Cyprus, we have initiatives to explore the CCS potential. As we further progress regional CCS initiatives, the aspiration is to develop solutions that will benefit all countries in the region. On renewable energy, there is no doubt that the region's solar potential needs to be accelerated, and the penetration of renewables needs to be further incentivized. This doesn't apply to only solar PV systems themselves, but significantly applies to the electricity networks that need to be upgraded to support the transition from large conventional power generation to more sparse and less flexible renewable power generation, as we've also heard from the Minister. There are great strides being made in developing renewable energy capacity, with the ambition that the region can ultimately be a green energy provider to the EU. This green energy can potentially be provided directly through electricity connectors or in the form of green hydrogen or ammonia. The EU's ambitions for the future role of green hydrogen as a fuel of the future provide incentives for the region to develop its potential for these fuels. Regarding the security and stability of electricity supply, but also with the aspiration of being a future green energy provider, the regional initiatives and projects for electricity connectors between Israel, Cyprus, and Greece, the Eurasia Connector, and between Egypt, Cyprus, and Greece, the Euro-Africa Connector, are key examples of regional cooperation for mutual benefit. The Eurasia Connector project itself has received significant support from EU funding, and it is targeted to be commissioned by 2025. Many thanks again for the opportunity to share these views with you, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion.